Every day, businesses across Canada are under attack, not by thieves with crowbars, but by sophisticated cybercriminal networks operating around the world. Groups with names like Shiny Hunters and Qilin have turned hacking into a multi-billion-dollar industry, stealing sensitive data and holding it hostage for ransom. Global ransomware damages are now estimated in the tens of billions of dollars annually, and Canadian organizations from hospitals to insurers to small businesses continue to find themselves in the crosshairs. When a company's data is stolen, should they pay the ransom and protect the customers and keep it operating? Or does paying simply fund the next attack? Joining us today is Arani Adhikari from Armor Cyber to explain how these criminal networks operate and what Canadians need to know. How have ransomware groups evolved from small-time hackers into sophisticated organizations, ones that can successfully target major corporations, governments, and critical services and infrastructure and tear it down so quickly? I'm Mike Wixson. This is tplmedia.ca. Go to tplmedia.ca local and find your local feed if you'd like. And don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend about what we're doing. Let's talk about ransomware and cybercrime. Joining me today, Arani Adhikari from Armor Cyber. Thanks so much for joining me, man. I appreciate this.
Thanks for having me over here.
Okay, why don't we start at the begin, okay? Where the average person gets the story.
Yep.
So I've just read in the newspaper that a major insurance company in Canada, for example, has been hit, their data has been targeted, and they have been hacked. It's usually the insurance company telling us this to make us aware as consumers that this has happened. But tell me, what has led up to that moment? What happened that made the insurance company have to make this announcement? Take us through that.
Perfect. So let's break down a couple of things. Let's start off with the hacking group itself, right? Let's talk about the evolution of ransomware, and then we'll get to how this happens.
Yeah.
10, 15 years back, right? Ransomware was not a term that was used a lot, right? Because there were hacker groups that were hacking for a specific objective, right? Now, over time, it has become a full-flown economy, right? So there are gangs out there that are operating with the scheme of extortion, right? So a ransomware, a very technical term, but if you break it down, it's extortion gang, right? What does extortion gang do? They are coming in, they're hacking into your company, they're holding your servers, your data ransom, and they're asking for payments. They're asking like, hey, if you don't pay me XYZ dollars, we are going to release this data or not going to give it back. Now, this evolution that has happened, it's not overnight, right? There are a lot of cybercrime gangs that have been operating in various models in Canada, globally. And you don't necessarily need to be in Canada to operate this thing. You can operate from anywhere in the world today and target companies everywhere. Now, the news article that you talked about, a local small insurance company that got hacked. Small, medium businesses are one of the most prolific victims of these gangs. Why? Because they do not have the basic security controls required to prevent them from coming in the first place.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about those things. But we talked about Qilin as an example. We were dealing with a Qilin case as of last week. It's a small company, 50 people, around 50 people, 50 employees, right? They have basic security controls, right? So they invested in security, but with an intent that just to check the box, right? So they had basic antivirus, basic things covered. Qilin specific, again, the way we from the industry know these hacker groups is they use specific techniques and targets and tools while they're coming in. So when they came in, right, they came into a specific user. The user did not have a multi-factor authentication. So that's essentially the password. When you put in a password, you get that SMS token saying, hey, this is the one-time password for getting in. The user did not have that set up, right? So they basically did something known as a phishing, as another type of a technique where they are able to get your username password. They use that, got in that one user account. Now, unfortunately, that user account had a lot of privilege. When I say privilege, they had a lot of
the ability to change and get access to data and files.
Exactly.
Right?
And once they were in, that was game over, right? Because they could then encrypt all the machines. Now, we got the call generally when the news article hits, right? Hey, we have been blocked. We can't do business. Can you help us get back in? Right, that's when we get involved, right, and take it from there. Now, a company to do actually a news article, that means they were already breached. They're proactively talking about it.
Okay, so I think a lot of Canadians, myself included, would envision these hackers as individuals in a basement someplace, a single individual with this ability, this super cyber ability to get in and wreak havoc. Is that the case, or are these more sophisticated operations than that?
10, 15 years back, that would be the case. Now, imagine a call center. It's a
Okay.
full operation. You have a HR, you have management, you have a scheduling manager, you have people actually doing the job, you have marketing. Think of these sort of organization as a full-fledged organization doing these things. Now,
These are full-fledged corporations
100%.
that are out there, and their sole purpose is to cause problems.
Havoc. Absolutely. They not only havoc, right? That's one of the objective. But think about it. It's a money motive driven organization, right? So you have revenue coming in from all this extortion. There's a cost of getting all the tools and techniques to do these attacks, right? There is a people cost, labor cost of people who are involved in this operation. So you have to manage them in a specific way, right? So ransomware, again, that evolution that we keep talking about, it has evolved into a full-fledged corporation with the motive for profit through ransom.
Yeah. Okay. So now these extortion machines, who are they going after? Like, what is an ideal target for, shiny hunters or Clop or Qilin?
So based on our experience of the cases that we have investigated, right? None of them have a specific target profile. They go after anyone and everyone. That's number one. But number two, once they go after the entire machinery, the people who actually fall victim to this are majority of the businesses which are small and medium. And the reason I say small and medium, and it hurts me to say that, right? Because these are people who have built their business
And
over time.
these are individuals that are suffering. here.
Individuals who are suffering. We have dealt with cases where business had to have shut down, right, because of a ransomware attack, right? And again, it hurts me to kind of say that, but small and the medium businesses are the ones who get targeted a lot, right? Because these gangs will go after everybody, but someone will fall, and the ones who will fall are the small mediums. Now, why is their defenses are not that great, right? When you talk about a big bank, a large institution, any large business, they have enough budget and they have enough manpower to invest in cyber and cyber security in general.
That's why I think I'm always a little shocked that it's an insurance company or a credit card company or a large online retailer that's been fallen victim, because you think, wait a minute, I saw all the warnings on their site. I clicked on everything, and it seemed very safe. And certainly that must be a level of sophistication that is required that's not necessarily required for the smaller businesses.
Exactly, right? Think about it. Cyber is a problem that's not always solved just by throwing money at it, right? It needs to be done proper, right? Exactly what you said, the large organizations, when they fall for it, it's not because they have not invested in cyber. They have not just invested in the right direction. They might have invested in very shiny tools, no pun intended on shiny hunters, but a lot of shiny tools that they have bought, but they're not using it properly. So there's no ROI, right?
Yeah, so they have all of these perfectly, the right software, but not set up in the manner that's required to.
No, not from a people perspective. So our business, we call it a people process technology, right? You can have the tech, but if you don't have the people and the process, the right people and the right process, that's just a shiny piece of tech just sitting around doing nothing, right? So a lot of the big ones that we see, and we investigated a lot of the bigger guys as well, the reason that happened was that one process that was not working, or that one piece of endpoint. So say, for example, a very tactical example, you have bought the best antivirus out there, and you have 100 machines that you need to be put on. Now you have put it on 80 of them, 20 of them you have forgot to put it on because of whatever reason it is, right? That's the chink in the armor where they're going to get in from.
That's the one crevice by which they can manage to get in. Okay, so now let's try to understand for the average person. I'm a business owner. I've arrived to work, or I've gotten a call from my IT guy, and they say to me, what's happened? Describe for me what the scenario is like on the ground for the victim.
And I'll tell you from experience, right? So North York, a manufacturing company, they're relatively large, around 800 employees in total, including obviously the factory workers and so on. We get called on day 2 of the situation, right? So we get called in when their existing provider was essentially extorting them as well, saying that, hey, if you don't sign this agreement, we are not going to help you, right? Those things happen.